right, guys, welcome back to the Command Your Brand show. I am your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand. In this episode, actually, I have a very special guest speaker who I'd love to talk to. And, it very fascinates me because, I grew up in the age of, where YouTube was just starting up and just things were just kind of getting very big. And as time goes on, YouTube is just an amazing, amazing thing with, YouTube sharing and how much actually people can make and grow their business through YouTube. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Nate Woodbury. So Nate, thanks for joining the show, man.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I guess what we'll kind of go over, because I want people to be surprised at what you do, because I'm more of that kind of person. So I guess tell a little bit about yourself, a little bit of who you are, and I guess what you do exactly.
All right. Well, I have a YouTube production company. I currently produce over 60 different YouTube channels. Wow. And it's really based around a unique strategy. We know how to leverage YouTube search. So I've helped a lot of businesses leverage search to really get top ranking and to grow massive revenue streams from YouTube. So I have two different filming houses in the United States, one in Utah, one in Florida. Wow. So my clients will either fly into one of those two places and we film 20 episodes in a day. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. So I'm happy to share.
That's great. And I guess so I know a lot of people, one of the things that they struggle with is just the ability to actually keep creating something to a point where it actually grows and makes income from people. I guess, what is your take on that? Because I'm always kind of curious how people really just make it on YouTube. Like how do actually people start off with that?
Yeah, good question. So you can focus on content that will appeal to the masses and that you hope to go viral and try and follow trends. And it's really, really elusive. And so you've just got to stick with it right. Or there's a second strategy. And the second approach is you can do research to find what questions are your target audience asking online. And there's tools that can go really, really deep to find really, really specific questions. And so you know exactly who's asking them. And so when businesses do this, they can really hone in on that target audience and find hundreds of questions. And so by making content that's really directed towards them, you're partnering with these search engines. And so instead of just sitting back and hoping something goes viral, maybe 1 out of 200 videos of yours might go viral and waiting for that one. In this case, every episode is really strategic and you just put it on YouTube and let the search engine do the work. And over time, each video isn't going to get millions of views right off the bat. Each video might get tens of views. But as you add these up, all these trickles of ideal traffic turn into a goldmine of the right people. They turn into people who love you, who admire you, who want to hire you. So,
wow, that's awesome. And for you, I guess, what are some of the things that successful things that you did in terms of creating these YouTube channels that became now successful and now they're making income? I think that's mostly why a lot of people do it, is because they want to grow their channel in order to produce the money for the channel. I guess, what was their key and successful things that created that?
Mm-hmm. Well, a key part of the way I help people is having an established business already. If we were to take these two different ways of being successful like this on YouTube, one is you go all in on YouTube and YouTube is your business. You're just creating whatever content will get the most views, and the way that you're going to generate revenue is through advertising, and YouTube will pay you for that. Mm-hmm. The other piece is we're not building a YouTube business. We're building a business and we're making it successful outside of YouTube. And then we leverage YouTube to bring traffic in and to bring views into that business. And how I discovered this strategy years ago, going back over a decade ago, I had a web design and search engine optimization service to get the website ranked at the top of Google, and it was working really well. But then I noticed one day, we had hundreds of different things we were doing to a web page to get it ranked at the top. And then I noticed one day that a YouTube video that we were embedding on the page, it was getting 50 times more views over on YouTube than this page that was ranking number one on Google. And I was looking at, wow, this is a lot of work that we're doing here in this one piece. that could really save us. So I started just exploring that a little bit more and really found just this huge opportunity of really streamlining the whole process of trying to get found. And so if you've got a business that's got a working funnel, you're generating leads, like if you're doing paid advertising or if you're getting a lot of referrals and word of mouth, leveraging this approach on YouTube into that existing funnel works extremely well.
That's great. And I think for you, because you're in this space so much, do you find that YouTube is like the best lead generation in terms of what we have today?
Yeah, absolutely. For companies that are doing paid campaigns, YouTube is hard to crack into. LinkedIn is really hard to crack into. Facebook seems to be the one that everyone is going to for paid ads. You'll have, there's all sorts of stuff going on with TikTok and Instagram, but and Google, of course. But with organic, website SEO is changed a lot. And so doing SEO for your website on Google doesn't really work anymore, but content SEO does. YouTube is by far and away the best place to put content and have it get search traction. And so for people that have expertise, they're putting themselves out there in terms of education, say they do coaching or consulting. YouTube is leaps and bounds above any other, and it makes it like not only does the search engine make it leaps and bounds, but their promotion engine, where YouTube was actively looking for people who are going to be interested in your content. And so that's why we honed in on YouTube. It's the best there is right now.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting too, because there's a lot of business out there, like, there are doctors and other places like that. I've just noticed this on YouTube, like I think in the past 6 months, like I've noticed like a lot, like there's a guy who I watch, he makes like content for lawyers and like, what the law says. And like, he makes it kind of funny a little bit, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Some people are being very creative about it, but some people are just like, kind of like, not really. They're sort of like putting stuff there, but it's not really attracting people. Like, is there a special way to actually attract people to, your space or to your actual YouTube channel?
Well, yeah. So you talked about two different things there. One of them is personality, right? And just having that charisma or something that's funny or entertaining. But the one, and that's kind of elusive. I've kind of gotten better at that a little bit, but I would still say I'm kind of boring. but what I have is I have value. And so somebody like a doctor that you mentioned, they've got a lot of expertise, or an attorney. And so they can, if you start with the keyword research, and you can find, well, what questions are people wanting to know from attorneys or from doctors, whatever your expertise is. When you make a video that answers that question, well, then those people that are going to Google and YouTube asking that question, your video pops up and they're like, oh, that's exactly what I was searching for. And so they're going to watch your video all the way to the end. They're captivated because of the content, and you're obviously the expert, the one that's the best equipped to answer that question. So that's the part that I focus on. I mean, we can work on, being more entertaining and having more energy on camera, and that's all important. But we start with the value, like making sure that what you're sharing is extremely valuable.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting too for you. You run so many, different companies with YouTube channels, especially you have your own mission and your own purpose in like actually delivering that to people. How do you make sure with these other people that you have that they kind of align with the same mission that you have? Because obviously some people have different ideas and missions that they want, and you have your goal of helping them. How do you achieve that?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. I would say that on rare occasion, there's a business that I just don't feel in alignment with, and so I walk away. But I would say for the most part, entrepreneurship itself is a pretty good filter.
Yeah,
personally, it's a huge path of personal development. It causes a lot of growth because of all the challenges and ups and downs and whatnot. But when you have a business that's made it through all those hurdles and they figured out how to be successful, and the audience chooses if they have customers that are happy about it, then that business has kind of weeded themselves in or whatnot. And so by the time I talked to them, they let me know, okay, this is our business. This is what we do. This is our purpose. It's like, yeah, that seems to make sense. Let's get that going on YouTube now.
Yeah. I just out of curiosity, because I'm actually kind of interested in knowing this, are there any like YouTube, like you don't say that the name names, obviously, but are there any subjects or things that you find the hardest ones to work on, or just, are there actually hard ones to work on, or do you think, or is it just specific subjects that you do?
Yeah. The more, most subjects we've been able to crack into and to work. We've had a lot of success in the real estate investing space. So several channels where they teach real estate investing or money or finance or business. We've had great success on the other end of the spectrum in the parenting space, how to be a better parent. So one that's had a challenge, I'll admit, talking about YouTube on YouTube has actually been pretty challenging. For me personally, there are a lot of successful YouTubers, both with my type of strategy, making educational how-to type content, but then there's all the other channels that are like the popular vlogs or entertainment like Mr. Beast, or I mean, there's all the channels that we watch, and it's very common for those YouTube creators to every once in a while make videos about YouTube strategy and how they got there. And so it's funny that's been a place that I've had to work extra hard to get that traction. So
yeah, it's very interesting too. Like on YouTube, I don't know. I'm afraid to ask the guy who runs to help run YouTube companies what his favorite YouTube channel is. But I must say, it's like I actually do, like, one of my favorite things I watch is like like some vlog type ones, but like I love technology and like how technology works, like not the tech companies, but like how people review like cell phones or laptops or other stuff, which I'm sure I feel like you're a guy who probably worked with some of those guys, but it's, I don't know, for some reason it makes people watch and want to like learn more about what the products we have today.
Yeah, well, I'll share a couple channels that I produce that are my favorites, and I'll share a couple channels that would be super fun. They're kind of not in my space, but I just love watching them. So channels that I produce, there's Noelle Randall. She's one of those real estate experts, and she teaches a lot of different strategies, including like Airbnb real estate. It's been a really fun journey being a part of her, because she's just a powerful entrepreneur. When I met her, she had 6 different businesses, was attempting to get traction on YouTube, had grown the channel to about 6,000 subscribers, but it wasn't generating any leads for her business, no ad revenue from YouTube, unless it was like just like $10 a month or something like that. And so what I've been able to do is help her really grow that channel and turn it into a massive revenue generator for her. She's up to 850,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Generating about 6 million a year just from YouTube leads.
Wow.
And to be able to see where she's at in her life and her impact and the other opportunities that's open is just, it's fun, and when people see that and know that I'm the guy behind the scenes that helped her do that is really fun. Another one I'll share is Paul Jenkins. I actually produce 2 different parenting channels. Paul Jenkins is a positivity psychologist, talks a lot about relationships and parenting. And I remember the first time that we got a comment from somebody in India. It was a mother in India that was just saying, I've been having struggles with my son. I watched your video. I tried what you shared and it worked. And I feel empowered as a mom. And for Paul and I, we were just like, we're helping parents over in India. This is amazing,
Yeah.
And so that impact is really cool to see. And then, I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and so I get to watch other channels. What I don't do a lot of, I've experimented, and it's actually kind of fun, but it's a lot of work to do it when you're building projects or adventure vlogs. There's a channel called Ambition Strikes.
I've heard of this one.
It's so fun.
I've heard of this one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a couple up in North Idaho. They built, they're building out this property. He bought a bulldozer that was from the 1950s and fixed it. And he made his own dump truck out of an army truck. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
And I'll share one other. Another one is Outdoor Boys. This father and his boys, they've they travel around a lot, but the last couple of years they live in Alaska, and they do a whole bunch of outdoor survival camping and snow caves. And me and my boys, we love watching that channel. It's fun.
Yeah. What do you find, just out of curiosity, because, a lot of us who are on YouTube and want to make income and get more views, do you find that if you're getting more views or gain more subscribers, you get more leads? Or do you think it's just the how to get viral is more worth it than actually getting subscriptions?
Yeah, a good question. So having the views and subscribers is a good metric. YouTube seems to go with momentum. So when you launch a video, YouTube will test it and just send a few views to it from different traffic sources, some from search, some from just kind of the suggested more viral type traffic. And based on those viewers' responses, it then figures out who is the audience for this video and will recommend it more and more. It also gauges how well the people liked that video. So if YouTube is starting to figure out your audience and you launch a video and that audience doesn't really react to it well, they start watching it and leave pretty quick, it kind of knows, this video is not gonna do very well. We're not gonna, so YouTube doesn't promote it more. Now, as you get more and more subscribers, your audience is more and more curated. So as you launch a video, YouTube knows right off the bat, okay, this video, we're going to show it to this person's audience first. And then from there, we'll expand it out to other people. So the more subscribers you have is typically a good measurement of the momentum or the health of that channel. And so just to give you hopefully a lesson learned, I was making videos in a variety of different topics, and I have a big team in the Philippines. And so I made a video explaining why I hire people in the Philippines. And, talking to my entrepreneurial audience, I thought this would be a valuable topic for them. And I'm sure it was, but it was actually more popular for people in the Philippines. They loved that I was talking about their country. Many of those people were hoping that I would hire them. And I actually, pretty quickly that first video took off and ended up getting 1.5 million views.
Wow.
So I started making other videos, talking on Filipino topics, and, tens of thousands of subscribers, several tens of thousands, until I realized when I made my regular content talking about YouTube strategy or entrepreneurship, the people in the Philippines didn't like that content. And so that actually hurt my channel. And so meaning when I would post some of my main content, my subscriber base didn't like it. YouTube algorithm says, your audience doesn't like this content. Stop making that content. I'm like, wait a minute. But that's my main content. That's how I built this channel from the beginning. So you really have to know who your audience is,
right?
And learn who they are and what content they like. And when you have a video that's that YouTube is suggesting a lot more, making sure, like, okay, is this bringing in the right audience? You got to be careful of that. So anyway, hopefully that is a helpful lesson learned.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing, because also too, it's like you really see the value in what your videos do. There's another guy that I watch, actually. His name escapes me, but he's from Australia. He's an Asian-looking fellow, and him and his wife make videos, and they actually are film developers. They actually help make films for people in Australia. And one of the things he's really passionate about, he makes these tech YouTube videos that actually help help other businesses that can't afford people to go to their country and actually film for free for them. That's
really cool.
I find it's really fascinating. I'll send it to you after this, but it's really, I find it such a rewarding when you help someone and they kind of like that story you mentioned about the Indian mother who's just like, this is helping me. Like, that just makes such a big impact for people and just anyone around you, Yeah,
the platform really gives us a huge opportunity, because we can take our little small circle of influence, our small impact in our local area, and obviously go nationwide, but now even global. When you create a video that's answering a question, anyone around the world that is asking that question is now going to be able to find your video and make a big impact.
Yeah. And I guess for you, what do you think about this? 'Cause I know Mr. Beast does this where he makes another channel, but it's actually another language, right? Like there's one for English, there's one for Spanish, there's one for, Filipino. There's like all these other languages. What is your take on that?
Yeah, so it's a very good strategy and obviously a way to expand your reach. Now, YouTube launched a feature that they're still kind of testing. Mr. Beast is a great example because he's using this feature to where now he doesn't have to have multiple channels. He can have multiple languages on one channel. So
Mm.
what he does is he'll record his video, but then he hires voiceover artists that speak other languages to come through and record a new audio track but with the same timing, so that
Yeah.
they can, when he when he uploads an episode, you can then upload additional audio tracks in different languages. So now you might not have noticed this, but if you're watching a Mr. Beast video, you can go down to settings and click on language, and you can change the audio to
Wow.
maybe 15 or 20 different languages now.
Wow. I actually did not know that. That's pretty interesting.
So that's been a big part of his channel's the biggest there is, or 350 million subscribers.
Yeah.
But if you look in the last year and a half, part of that growth is now because of these different languages.
Right. And I'm curious, Q, because I know you developed a kind of this new system or this cutting edge system called the Leaf Strategy. Could you, I guess, explain a bit of what that is and how it impacts you in terms of the effectiveness in YouTube?
Yeah. When I talk about keyword research or finding these questions, it can be confusing because there's a lot of different advice out there. We come from a website SEO where we first learned about keyword research, and some of those tactics and strategies don't work so well. So I use this tree analogy where the trunk of the tree is your broad topic, your core area of expertise, and the branches represent all the different ways you can categorize what you're good at. But if you keep breaking it down further and further, the leaves represent these very specific questions. And so the point is you don't want to make videos on broad topics like your trunk or your branches, but you want to go clear out and make videos on these leaves. And so then I demonstrate to people how you can do the keyword research. And an example would be, let's say you're an expert in productivity, right? You teach people or businesses how to be more productive. Well, when I've done keyword research, I've found really specific questions like how to improve your productivity in a dental office, or how to increase productivity on a construction site. And it's interesting when you find those questions, you're like, oh, I would have never thought specifically to talk to a dental team, because I couldn't just make it up and say how to improve productivity in an attorney's office. Maybe that question exists, but I can't just make it up. You've got to you want to find the questions that are getting searched consistently and find the wording that they're using. And when you find these questions that are like 8, 9, or 10 words long, and yet they're still getting 30 searches every month on Google or YouTube, it's amazing because you make that video, you post it, and you start getting that 20 or 30 views a month. But then after a few months, YouTube's figured out who the people are that are watching these videos. And so then every month after that, you start getting more views and more views and more views. So that's kind of the summary of what that leaf strategy is, of honing in and how to find these questions and know how to ensure that your video is going to have a built-in audience.
That's great. And for you, I guess for new people, let's say, who are listening to this, because sometimes they're just starting and they want to get a little information about how to start one or really start building something up. Are there maybe 4 or 5 things that you would suggest to new people who are starting a YouTube channel?
Well, a lot of the advice that you'll get, you might have different advice about, just use your cell phone, or you need a fancy camera instead, or what about lighting? What about audio? What about editing or software? What about all these text effects and B-roll? You can actually just start simple, and you don't need to be in presentation mode. You don't need to change who you are and pretend to have all this personality that you don't have.
Yeah.
But if you start with a question, and let me take a step back and explain it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You might have an amazing idea for a video and just think, man, this is really valuable. Nate says I need to share valuable content, so let me record this concept. I'm going to share it. It's so valuable. you might even have budget you put into it, right, or something, or hire Steven Spielberg to direct it, and Harrison Ford to act in it, or something.
Yeah.
The reality is, you post that video to YouTube, and it's not going to get any views because you don't have an audience. Like Hollywood wouldn't get any views on their movies if they didn't have tons of advertising behind it. The trailers and the posters and the interviews that they do. And if I were to bring in Harrison Ford, maybe that would be a good reason for people to watch it. But if people don't know who you are and you post this amazing content to YouTube, it's very rare. I mean, the videos that we see that go viral and we think, that person just made an amazing video. They posted it and now millions of people have seen it. It's actually very, very rare. But they're out in front and we see them when we think that they're more common. So the best piece of advice is to do the hard work first and to find the audience through that leaf strategy. And then you make a video, and don't go overboard with camera or lighting or anything. You don't want to annoy people, but you also just want to just talk, have a conversation. You don't want to be in presentation mode to feel like when people are watching, they feel like, this person's selling me something. You just like you're on FaceTime or on a Zoom call, answer that question, show them the real value, and you'll get views. You'll get views on that video. You don't have to wait for, one of these 200 videos is bound to get some views. No, you can do it one time, post that video and get results. And I would say plan on launching one episode like this every week. Start, if you can be consistent with one episode like this every week, it does work. You will get results.
That's great. And I know that you've also too, like you've, in the past with also your other channels, you've also created also income for people. I don't know if you want me to say the number necessarily, but you've also created a great amount of income just from very little views or little subscribers. Like, could you, I guess, elaborate that a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, just to give you an example, I'll even tell you the channel. It's Stan the Annuity Man. So if you think about his subject matter, he's talking about these insurance products called annuities, and kind of a boring subject. He's a really cool guy, and so he'll add a cool element to it, but he's talking about annuities. His channel has grown to a whopping 15,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So it's definitely not a Mr. Beast channel.
Yeah.
If you saw the revenue numbers from this channel, we'll just say it's over 8 figures.
Wow.
Yeah. So to think that a channel like that with such a low number of subscribers and a low number of views, but it's pulling in the right audience, right? That's really, really valuable views. So, yeah.
That's great, man. And I guess for you, I know you've talked about this before, but I'll kind of say about it, but could you give us like a good case study or like someone like that indicates to you like, oh, this was the best person I've ever helped, and I saw the value just right there, and I was like, I knew this was like what I love to do.
Yeah, the thing, I'll go back to the example with Noelle Randall.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that one was so exciting for me, and she's the one that teaches Airbnb real estate.
Yeah,
she had built her business to $1 million first.
Wow.
And she was actually paying for Facebook ads. So that's where she was generating her leads. And over time, she had figured out what is the call to action of these ads? What does the landing page look like? And testing different things and testing different offers. And when she would sell her coaching program, using different language or packaging her services in different ways. So by the time that I had talked to her, and she was looking for YouTube help, she had already brought in $1 million in the previous year from this funnel. And so, and another key indicator is she was successful of taking paid ads, which is actually really low quality leads. Mm-hmm. If you can become successful with paid ads, low quality leads like that, where the reason that they're low quality is people don't like to be sold to. They're being interrupted. And so it's kind of a disruptive type marketing approach, which, you see a lot of people doing. And so it works, but it takes a lot of effort and energy to really refine those things. And so when you find, when I find a business like that, that's really built it and become successful with it, you pour this YouTube strategy into their business. And in Noelle's case, she was able to turn off her Facebook ads within 3.5 months.
Wow.
And that was to a 7-figure revenue stream. And like, we just replaced it really, really quickly like that. So it's really fun to see.
That's awesome. Well, Nate, I really appreciate the time you kind of given me just to kind of get a little more insight of what YouTube is. I'm always fascinated with people. I'm like, how the hell did you grow that channel? I'm like, there's just, there are people things that work. And obviously you figured out the key to actually grow really anyone. And just, you've helped so many people with that. So I guess for people to reach out to you or kind of get to know a bit about your services or more about you, or I also know you have a book as well. I guess, could you, where's a good place people can reach out to you? And also maybe you could talk about your book too.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I actually offer a free webinar. I do that most every week. And so people can go to theleafstrategy.com. I just call it my Leaf Strategy webinar. So theleafstrategy.com. And I show a lot of examples. It's very visual, where I take you behind the scenes in YouTube. I take you behind the scenes in this tool that I demonstrate of how to start with the keyword research, how to find these questions. Because every viewer, every listener to this podcast that has expertise, if you can really find these questions, it kind of will open your eyes and help you see what's possible of knowing, man, there's people out there asking really good questions, and there's no one better to answer them than that. Yeah. So you mentioned my book. My book's available on Amazon. It's A Hero's Guide to Influence on YouTube. And so that's another great place. So either the webinar, theleafstrategy.com, or my book.
Awesome. Well, Nate, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate the time you kind of given me to kind of really asking questions about, what we do and also what you do and how to grow your business through YouTube. And I just really appreciate the time you've given us, especially me, who I'm such an avid fan of YouTube, and I'm sure you are too. So I really appreciate the time you really gave us to really get the knowledge for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And of course, I thank everyone here for listening to this channel. If you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe to this stuff. And of course, to take command of your brand, you can definitely follow us on commandyourbrand.com and check us out. Thanks again to Nate for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you.